Is money is evil? Does it have a soul? I mean, everything has, an energy, wave, like whatever. Okay, let's just get it out there. Okay, the piece of paper on the money that you have, the dollar bills, it's just an energy form of life form, and it's vibrating. Okay, all right. So, is money is evil? No, I don't think so. It's just vibrating. It's not evil, unless the person that's using it is evil. You know how like poor people, or they always bash on rich people, or say, oh, they should give us more money, or give it to the poor and feed the homeless, or feed the, well, most often rich people do that, but most people, poor people, don't do that, because they live in survival mode. They don't give. I remember back in the day, there was my friend and I, we were in the mall. I think we were about to go out the mall. My friend said, why did you give the money to the homeless guy, or whatever? The guy asked me for money, and I was like, I don't really care. He's like, what if, why are you gonna give it to him? He's gonna do something, maybe, do some drugs. Or I was like, look, I don't care what he does, as long as it's doing good for the world, I don't care. So people, it's a different mindset. Anyway, so let's talk about this. I remember back in the history class in middle school, I think that most people have their personal biases, right? So for me, I look at it in a different angle. I think that you should go to school to experience life. You should experience socialization with your friends, or trying to make new friends and stuff like that. But oftentimes we don't question the notion, why are we here in school? What are we here to learn? Most oftentimes people don't understand that. Most people don't see the bigger picture that society, the system play in. Whether it's good or not, I think that people often come from a personal background of biases. Like I had one lady. Now she's kind of nice, and she's always helping my family. But she, in her mind, success means that college or school, it's a way to become successful and deemed worthy of society. Now you shouldn't go to school or college or whatever because what someone tell you that it's going to make you successful. Now most people don't understand why I disengage with school and education, because you see, most people don't understand that most of my life, my uncle always bashed on me, saying that if I don't do this certain type of thing, I would be a loser for the rest of my life. I wouldn't be deemed worthy of the life that I have lived. Most people, they look at the degree, and that's how successful the people are. But you shouldn't value people in a piece of paper intrinsic way. Most people get lost in this. People don't understand. This is why people who look. I'm not against teachers. I'm not against people. They should live however they want, but you have to look at the big picture. The bigger picture is you saying that the piece of paper that people have, I have a certificate of trades, right? But that doesn't, the value that people have, if you work on yourself each and every day, and you bring value to yourself to the marketplace. You see, people value the piece of paper, meaning that they value that when they have that means that they have value. But what if all the time that you have value because you work on yourself, you study, you took the time? It's not a regurgitation of facts and figures. It's the thinking. So the way that the educational system says that if you are to be successful in life, you are deemed worthy of a good life, but not necessarily so, right? And so that's why most people who, when I talk about education, come from a background of my personal experience and how I felt as growing up as a kid and going through the life through the educational, right? Because people say, you know, if I felt that if I didn't do well in school, my peers and my classmates look at me as a loser because I didn't go the route of what everybody else wanted from me, because quote unquote, because that's the crowd. The crowd is the noise that block your visions, right? And most often time, people often follow the crowd. People who are misfits or who's weird, they don't fit into a system, a cog in a machine. Now, people say, but what if that is how you're success, but what if that's not the person feeling of success? Most oftentimes, people who go to these type of, whether their families are doctors, they're going to be a doctor because that's their parents, but oftentimes each entrepreneur break out of it because they don't want to be a doctor. They want to make something of themselves. That's the difference. But anyway, I'm getting off topic of the school system and everything. But the school system doesn't even talk about money or the history. I remember one time my brother, friend, talk about how the teacher talk about that the government can't print money. But in doing so, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, talk about the government do print money. So back in the day, I was trying to calculate that, you know, because I have vegans on my YouTube channel, so I'm not against vegans. I'm not against Meteor. I'm just saying you gotta let people choose however they live their life, right? You can't just force someone to live their life just because people tell you it's a good way. You have to make that choice yourself. What my thinking is to teach you to think for yourself, not based upon what other wants for you. Sure, there is expectation and stuff like that, but you have to live to your beating of your drum, no matter what the public figures or entrepreneurs say or whatever, Gary Vee. You have to live with yourself. So you have to live according to your needs and wants in life, whether you have a family or you don't have a family, whether you're single. I have to make another talk about being single or whatever. I think oftentimes people have this bias too. So Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki introduced a idea, history about money that I never knew that it take place. That the piece of paper that we have has no value. Okay, so it has value because the government and you and I place it has value. We say it so because it's degree of fiat money, but it's backed by nothing. It used to be backed by gold. They said 1971, Richard Nixon took us off the gold standards. They say in the book said because it's economic issues. Now so it has lost 80% of its purchasing power since 1970. The dollar that you have, $20, the cost of living and the good and service are always, now it's high, right? When you're going to buy certain products or services, you buy less with that money. Now you buy less because it doesn't have that much power, purchasing power. Back then, it has a lot of power to buy a lot of products and service, whatever you need. Because I was calculating in 1950, let's say candy, right? Candy was 5 cents. I don't know if that's true or not, but it was 5 cents. And today it's like what, $1.50 or $2 or higher. And imagine if you had $10 or $10 today, how much you could buy. I calculated you could buy 60 either bar of candy or I don't know what candy they have, but 6 bar of candy, right? Now you think that's a lot today, right? But back then I calculated 5 cents. If you take $10, you buy. You know how much money, how much candy you could buy? You could get sick, but that could be for Halloween. 200 for a bar candy or whatever. That's purchasing power. Now, I think that people who are working for money from 9 to 5, nothing wrong with that. But I think that they should understand at least what is money and why they working for money. Is it to live a better life, or is it to pay the bills? Most people are working to pay the bills. But is it that's what life for? You got to question what life is for. Why is it? Why should you work for money? Why is it to make your life comfortable? Is it to buy what you want with the money? To hyper consume? To become a consumer? What is it? So oftentimes we don't look at this type of thing. He's in this book. He said back in 1970, if you just stash $1 coin under the mattress, today you will find out you buy less worth of dime, whatever. And it said the general prices level of good. It said inflation is a sustained increase in the general prices level of good and service. When general prices level rises, each unit of currency buy fewer goods and services. Inflation reflects to reduce purchasing power. So that's the history of understanding money. Now, I was thinking a lot that most often time people say, college is good. I mean, I think it depends on, this is the way I look at it, right? People who spend time in college, like 9 years, you think that they could have built something amazing. Now, I'm not against school or college. I'm just against, my path is a little bit different from everybody else because I had to deal with a lot of pain growing up with education, school, because I didn't have a very good hand dealt with. I mean, I have to go through a cognitive machine. I was a class clown. I was bored, and oftentimes I sleep in class because I was sleepy because I stay up late at night. I remember back in middle school, I often say I don't care about homework, right? And oftentimes, I remember the joy, for me, for the first time, joy, it was, I can remember stuff like multiplication in middle school in special education, but oftentimes people who, I don't know what my peers think about special education, but often people who are in special education, they felt like they're not the normal people, or they don't fit in to everybody else. They felt like they're outcasts. They felt like they're losers. They felt like they're not worthy. They're not smart enough. Brian Tracy said, the one who start earlier than you, they're not smarter than you. They're not better than you. They just start earlier, and they kept on ahead doing that. And oftentimes, I think that we have to. Life is not black and white, guys. Life is not black and white. I'm telling you, people think like light or black and white in every goddamn thing, because they're not flexible enough. They don't have enough diversity in their brain. They don't have a lot of downloads, information in the brain going through them at all costs and all time. People value education because, Jim Rohn book. I was trying to find it, right, so I can read it to you guys. Jim Rohn book, in his book, he said that his friends, they went to college, but they stopped learning. But his mentor, they said, you should never stop learning. And most often do, because they got burned out. They don't want to do anymore. They don't want to do learning. How can you learn from a textbook? You can't. You can read a book on people who have already done what you want to do. Tony Robbins talked about success leave clues, right? And you want to learn from people who want what you want to do. You don't want to learn from the textbooks, which give you just a static understanding, and it doesn't give you a practical tip to practice it. It just gives you the things that doesn't really help you in life. Social skill, it doesn't teach you that. Textbooks of biologies. Look, if you love biology, but I'm just saying the practicality of life, that you need these type of things that in your life to download in your brain to change the way that you think about things. I think that's why I like diversity of books because it gave me a way to think about, wow, holy shit, school didn't teach you this. Like, if you would think that, let's say you read 50 books and you're, or 100 something, I don't know, and most of your peers are college. Maybe they are not interested in learning. They're interested in partying or hanging out, like the good life, these life that they live, those things. And they are, what I'm saying is this: if you're going to college or school, you have to look at it as the opportunity cost or a sunk cost. If the time that you spent, let's say you're a person who know what they want, and you know what you want out of college, and you can use that opportunity to your advantage to live the life that you want. Now, most people in this world who are lost, and they listen to their peers and societies and saying that they should go through college because that's a success. But success isn't a piece of paper. Success is satisfaction. Success is living your life the way that you're meant to live, not a cog in someone's machine and build someone else's future. Think about that for a second. Now, there are not many different advices that people can give you, but there's you have to live the way that you want to go through. Now, there are different stages of people's life, whether they have a family, whether they have they're single. These advices that people give are based upon how they live their life. Usually people who have family, or they give different advices. People who are single, they give them a very different advices. You have to take that into consideration to think, like, what advice that you can learn from, and be open-minded to that. Because oftentimes, because the thing is, Asian parents, Asian culture, believe that success is through education. Education, I think, if you're talking about education, I think education should be able to draw something within you to pull something good and to develop that potential, and you can use that in your life advantage. But oftentimes school and education doesn't do that. Not for my sake, at least, right? It didn't draw out the potential of me. I mean, think about this. You take the test, you have to try to remember the test, right? Back when I was in boarding school, people thought I was smart and geniuses, but no, I just read a book, and I just do what the textbook says. That's it. But oftentimes people don't want to do the work. That's what I think. That's I have a gripe with school, because it's not. For most people, if people will say you should go to college, but if they don't go to college, people deem them as losers, right? That you're an outcast. Most oftentimes, society, average people who work from 9 to 5, they look down on homeless people. They said they should get a job, but they don't look at a person from their shoes. And oftentimes we give them the advice. But you should be able to have a mindset of, like, you should try to live a good life on your own term, or whatever term, either you want a family or whatever. That's up to you. I think that's up to the person that's living the life. If they're what they want in life, it's